I think this kind of, having those family traditions together that, like one rule that we have, like when we eat dinner together, everybody's together with no phones. Like we kind of try to minimize TV time, things like that, and things like this. So just, little things like that, we just try to, build those traditions and have those time together because, time is moving, man. And, when you come home, think about you come home from work, you're tired, they're tired, kids home tired from school. It's like that limited time together, so you just got to make the most of it while you can, So.
Welcome back to another episode of This My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your boy AJ.
It's the bougie baby daddy Eli.
And today we have the man when it comes to North Carolina basketball sports. By far, the creator of HoopState, Mr. Rod Bridges.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Oh man, thank you for being here. Now, he's saying you the prince of basketball. What your jump shot look like?
Oh no! Hey, listen, I can shoot. I can shoot the ball. I can't do nothing else.
You over here?
Listen, I can't do anything else. I can still shoot the basketball, man. That was my safety claim, man. So yeah, no, I can let it fly a little bit.
That's dope. That's dope. Appreciate you being here, though.
No, absolutely. I love what y'all do, man. This is really dope.
So you know what we do. We know we're going to start you off with the first question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be a father?
It means everything. Like it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever had in my life. Before you have kids, it's all about moving how you want to move and doing everything that you want to do. But that second you have a kid, it instantly becomes bigger than you. So everything I do in my life now is about, well, what will my kids think, or does this benefit my kids? So for me, like I said, that's the best things that ever happened to me. And I've had a lot of pretty good things happen in my life, man, but by far being a father, man, is just most rewarding.
Oh, wow. So when you talk about meaning everything, what is the thing that most touches you about having kids?
I think it's a responsibility of taking care of somebody other than myself. All your life, you watch your parents hustle and grind and figure out how they're gonna raise you. Now it's our turn to do the same. So for me, it's just having that responsibility of being a father and making sure that my kids, they're raised the right way. And when they grow up and they go on to have their own family, the things that I taught them, the lessons they learned from me, they can apply those into their family. So,
do you feel pressure?
I do sometimes feel pressure because for me, my dad wasn't around. He was across town, but he wasn't present. Yeah. So for me, I think the pressure for me is to not mess it up, be the best father that I can be for my kids, regardless of whatever I'm going through with myself and my wife, because I want to make sure that even if I'm not there for my kids, that my kids know that I'm there and I'm present in my life, And I don't want to say like me and my dad had beef or anything like that, but I just know that in terms of like that actual time, I think that's more valuable than anything you can ever give a kid. And for me, that's what I try to give my kids the most.
Got you. Now, you said something that I can relate to that I have never talked about on here. Mm-hmm. You said your dad was across town, right? Mm-hmm. But wasn't really whatever. My dad was across town. My father was across town. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really have that after a certain number of years. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a whole bunch of relationship with him until, after my mom passed.
Right.
But how did that impact you, knowing that he was just across town, but not feeling like you're getting everything you needed from him?
Nah, I mean, a lot to you. It hurt because my dad, I loved basketball growing up. I played basketball and I was pretty good growing up. But you always heard the stories about how my dad was this great basketball player, he was just one of the best players to ever come through our city. And I never got that opportunities for him to show me how to become that basketball player. I kind of fell in love naturally with my brothers and my cousins and things like that. So it's just like, for me, I never got that experience to kind of like, you see those father and son relationships. You saw something like with Jordan and his pops, like how they had that relationship. Yeah. I always wanted that. And I'm not saying we didn't have a relationship, but it wasn't a relationship that I wanted, So, yeah, no.
Nah, because I was thinking about that too, because it was like, even though we didn't have like per se beef, it's just that those experiences, those being at my games or what can you teach me? Missed out on a lot of that.
Absolutely. It's for me, like he came to a couple of my games my senior year. I never forget. And every game he came to, I'll try my best. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try to get 30 just to show him like, yo, this is what you could have done, you know. So no, it was just kind of that mindset. Just I want to show him what he was missing out on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, especially basketball, because you travel all the time for basketball, what impact do you see that father being there in these kids as opposed to some of the kids that you see that they're not?
So it's funny you say that because a lot of these kids' relationships, like we cover high school basketball mainly. So when a lot of these kids go off to college, obviously we don't cover them as much as we did previously. But what I've kind of done, I've kind of taken on that big brother, that father role for a lot of kids, and I kind of try to be there for them still because I don't want them to feel like you're here for the time here, you're here, and then after that you just I won't give a crap about you. But so for me, it's just kind of like taking on that role. And I have parents all the time like, man, listen, the words you talk to my kids, like they look up to you and they respect everything you tell them. So, could you talk to them and kind of give them some advice or, things like that. So I take that, with great responsibility,
Oh, wow.
So.
And so talking about that, what do you take from those relationships and then trying to make sure that, I see that they have a short pitfall here, but I want to make sure that what I instill in my kids, they understand that I'm here. And so what do you learn from that?
No, absolutely. I think it's more or less about just making sure that you're making that time for your kids, because a lot of times you see a lot of these kids, they got single mothers and no dad's present. And so that's something that I could kind of relate to in a sense. So for me, like I was saying earlier, for me, it's all about just being present in my kids' life and any and everything they do. Like my daughter's getting into gymnastics now, and like, me, I want her to hoop, but I'm not gonna push her that direction yet, But my son, he's gonna hoop. He don't know it yet, but he's gonna hoop. But I want to make sure that anything that she wants to do in life, that I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be present for her, and she knows I'm gonna be her biggest fan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of your dynamic, so how many children do you have?
I have 2.
You have 2. What's the ages?
4 and 4 months.
4 and 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. And your youngest is your boy.
Yes.
At 4 months.
Yes.
So we always normally ask, like, when was your father moment? We can get to that, but I want to start off with just the fact that you first found out you were having a boy. After, being involved with high school sports the way you are, seeing it, all of that, and not saying there's nothing wrong with having a daughter at all. Right. But when you first found out, like, you the same way. When you first, your second one was, you were the same way. When you first found out, like, I'm having a boy, how different was that?
So for us,
don't get in trouble now.
No. This I can't get in trouble. For us, it was kind of like, I'll give you a backstory. Last year, April, my wife's brother passed away. Her only brother, he passed away, and that's what my son's named after. So I knew when she told me she was pregnant, I knew in her mind she wanted a boy. And I know she kind of, the whole time she was kind of like, well, this is whatever we have, as long as they're healthy, that's what we're okay with. Yeah. But we had the gender reveal, and we found out it was a boy. It was a really emotional moment just because, it kind of filled that void that for her. So for me, as crazy as it sounds, people will say, well, I know you wanted a boy. I know you happy you got your boy. Yeah, I am happy that I have my boy, but I'm happier for my wife that she was able to have a boy. And, I was okay with being a whole girl dad. Like, with Kobe, I was a Kobe stan, so I was okay with being a girl dad, but I think for me, it was more fulfilling, for my wife, to have that moment, to be able to fill that void. But now I got my boy, now let's rock, what I mean? So
got you.
Yeah.
Now, so when you think back on it, even if you talk about the relationship with you and your father, or your different relationships coming up, when you sit back and think about, okay, well, the lessons that I took from wherever, where did you get those ideals and those morals for being a father from?
Honestly, my mom. Like, I saw my mom, just bust her tail and just be whoever she could be for us. My mom sacrificed like her own personal happiness for make sure me and my brother were good. So, what she taught me more than anything was just to stand on your own too. Regardless of who's in your life, who's not there, you stand on your own too, and you do what you gotta do to survive out here. So for me, I think that was the biggest, like watching my mom just every day getting up. My mom was a lieutenant in a women's prison, so like, you know, I watched her get up 6 o'clock in the morning, go to work 12 hours, you know, and then come home and like, you know, and she had to jump right back into that role, you know. But I also knew they're not to cross her either, because you know, women lieutenants prison, like she had the hands, you know what I mean? So yeah. So you know, I tried a couple times where, you know, I got a little buck, but you know, and she chopped me back down. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit that, but I just think watching her just grind and just be the woman, like that superwoman, I think that's what, you know, I just learned that built that foundation for me.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Who would you think is your biggest male influence growing up?
It's two people. It's my brother, my blood brother, because I watched him, you know, kind of step up and be that father figure for me, because he's 5 years older than me. So him, and then I had my cousin. His name is MJ. He, you know, I always saw him kind of take me under his wing. He knew that I loved basketball, and he was really good in basketball. And he kind of just took me under his wing and just allowed me to, you know, grow up as like his kind of like another son. And that's why, like, you know, I always talk about, you know, you see my nephew J5, that's actually my cousin, that's his son. So we kind of grew up like brothers. And that was because of that. Like, so I kind of, you know, we all developed that relationship. But, you know, I think those two people off the top of my head. So
I want you to speak to that, because I hear that from my brother. I'm 5 years older than him. And when you said you looked up to your brother, I don't get it, because my brother says the same thing he says. This is just truth. How do you look up to him as like a father figure? Like what do you grab from it?
Because I saw my brother like just become a man before he should have became a man. So when he's 14, 15, 16, he's doing stuff, taking care of us. He's working, making sure that like, at school, like, you know, I'm wearing cool kicks. Like everything that I kind of learned about being like, you know, me comes from my brother. Like the way he walked, talked, he dressed, everything. It was just like I saw myself in him. So it was just kind of like I wanted to be him, you know. So and I just, you know, seeing what he did, like, you know, I remember he was 15 working at Food Line, like, you know, just, you know, grinding, just trying to get whatever he could. But every time he got paid, he would buy me something with a pair of shoes or a shirt, just something to kind of be like, you know, let you know that I got you.
Got you. Now that's kind of deep, because I always wonder, because being the oldest, I don't really pay much attention to it.
Right.
And everybody's circumstances are a little bit different.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but you saying this and kind of feel like it put pressure on me that I don't even know why it's pressure.
It felt normal to you though, probably. Like you were just being who you were. Because like big brothers, you're naturally protectors, you know. And I think you were just kind of doing it just naturally, you know.
That's interesting that you said that though.
Yeah. See, my brother just didn't listen. So it's a whole different
you don't
thing.
Either, do you?
I mean, it's good when you have a good influence and you follow it. Sometimes it doesn't.
That's true. That's true.
So I mean, you want to model yourself after that. So, and I'm pretty sure that means a whole lot to him. Like, because you, just like you, I'm pretty sure that means a lot to you that your brother says that.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's why I went to HBCU. He played football at Livingstone. So, you know, going to college, I didn't think about going to like the PWIs. Like, I wanted to go to HBCU because I saw my brother go to it. But no, I didn't want to go to Livingstone. But I mean,
I didn't even know. They still open?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but you know, I feel like I made a good choice of where I went. You know what I mean? But no, just seeing that, you know, that was, you know, that gave me that early experience. You know, so.
So speak to that, right? About the HBCU experience. And now you got, especially now in sports, it seems like yesterday. Yeah, with the Deion Sanders getting number one play. Like it's turning now.
Yeah.
What do you tell kids if every kid wants to be D1? Every kid is I'm going to Duke. I'm going to Carolina. I'm going to NC State. No, you're not. I mean, just know you're not. Every kid's not going. Right? Someone's going to have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of the importance of going to HBCU.
It's the harsh reality of sports, you know. For everybody that goes to Carolina or Duke, there's somebody that has to go to a Jackson State, a Alcorn State, a Fayetteville State. So I always tell kids now with social media in 2021, you can really market yourself and be whoever you want to be. Like anytime now in this world we see the number two recruit in the country go to Jackson State, it's not more or less because, oh, he's not going to get exposure. everybody in the world is gonna have their eyes down in Jackson State now. And I think now with the NIL deals and you can market yourself, make your own money, and then with social media, these kids are so smart, so advanced. Like you can really make money for yourself before you even take a snap or shoot a ball or things like that. So I think the tide is kind of turning now. I will say, in the terms of like with Deion, I think it's a little different because it's Deion Sanders.
Yeah, it's Deion Sanders.
Now,
He already brought eyes now.
exactly.
Right.
So now the coach at Savannah State or Delaware State, they might not be able to do the same thing if you get somebody in there. But Deion's such a polarizing figure, like that plays a major part in it, you know. So.
Yeah.
Somebody might go to Livingstone one day.
Hey, listen, I know no CIAA slander, but man, I wish the best for you, man. That's true, man. At my senior year in high school, they were like, since my brother went there and I went down there to work out for them, they were like, man, you can come here and play basketball. We'll get you some money. I was like, I think I'm gonna go try to walk on at Fayetteville State. You know, I'm just like,
That is funny.
Yeah,
That is funny.
so.
So when you talk about your kids, what is some of the biggest things that you missed out on that you want to make sure that they don't miss out on?
I think just like them just being a kid, like growing up for me, like basketball was like everything for me. And there were times where, you know, just being a kid was kind of put on the back burner because I had a dream to be a basketball player. So for my kids, I just want them to understand like, yo, you got all the time in the world to be whoever you want to be, but for these first 18 years of your life, 17, 18 years of your life, be a kid. Enjoy everything about being a kid. Like, you know, I see parents sometimes, you know, put their kids in like modeling, or they'll put them like in chat being like an actor or actress and things like that, you know, just to try to make money. You know, I get it. Whatever's for you is for you, but you rob the essence of them being actually a kid at that point. So I think for me, it's just like, I just want them to understand, yo, do whatever you want to do in life, but we're going to let you be the biggest kid that you want to be, you know, until it's time for you to, you know, to go on to that next phase in life.
So how do you do that and then nurture, if they say, like you joking about your son, he's going to play basketball, whether or not he knows it or not.
Yeah.
But how are you going to strike that balance of support, flexibility, and pushing a little bit? How you think you're going to balance that?
It's tough because I see so many parents go through it. Like I said with my cousin, he allowed me to kind of be there with him and his son and kind of go through that process. So I got to see a lot of kind of like that push and pull, and when you should push, when you should pull. You know, it was just kind of, so for me, it's just kind of like, I want them to develop that love naturally.
Right.
Now I can sit here and say, yeah, you're going to hoop. Hey, I'm going to put the ball in his hand and see what he does with it. And if it's a natural love that he develops like I did, then we're going to keep going, but it's always going to be, we're going to go at your pace. We're going to go how you want to go. If you feel like you're ready to do more, we'll do more. If you got other interests, that's cool. We'll do that too. But, you know, I just want him to develop that natural love. Like, even with my daughter, when she was younger, like I would, you know, try to see if she'd watch a game, or we like a little hoop in the house, see if she shoot on it. She play with it a little bit, but it wasn't a natural thing as of now. So, you know, I kind of just let it go. You know what I'm saying? I'll kind of do the same with my son as well too. So
it happens that way. My son never touched the ball.
Yeah.
Never at all. And now he wants to be at the basketball court. And I don't play basketball.
I've seen you.
Like, I'm athletic
He
though.
shot brick so hard it flattened.
Come on.
I'll never forget it.
I'm athletic though.
I mean, okay.
So he can get that part from me.
Athletic,
but as far
not
as
talented, but I got
Oh,
you.
get out
you
here.
had speed, you're fast.
That's not a talent.
I could dunk up until I was 35.
That's not a talent.
That's athleticism.
I know. I'm talking about talent.
Back to where we. Let's get. You're right. I'm not talented at basketball. You're right. All right. We all the way off track.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. No, look, I went to school with him. I know.
So let me ask you this: did you envision how you wanted to be as a father before you ever became one, or was it just, I'm a dad now?
I was terrified because I didn't know what type of father I wanted to be, but I didn't know how I was going to be. For me, it's like, because you know, when you first have a kid, naturally the baby is naturally bonded with their mom because mom carried them and things like that. So it's kind of like you're trying to find your way in there, find where I can, you know, fit in here or there. So initially it was kind of like I was kind of outside looking in because I didn't really know where my role was with my daughter. So just the older she got, I tried to, you know, jump in there and do more things and just show her, you know, I'm here just as much as mommy's here. So, but I knew I wanted to be present. That was the biggest thing. I wanted to be there. So that's kind of what I pride myself, just always being there, making sure, you know, with trips, if I can stand it, I'm home every night, you know, tucking you in bed. You know, if it's late, hey, I'll be late, I'll call, try to FaceTime, you know, things like that. Just to let you know that even if I'm gone, I'm still here, you know,
So how does that wear? Does that wear on you though?
Oh, all the time.
Being gone because you had so many tournaments and everything.
All the time. Like last weekend, we were in Outer Banks last weekend. That's, you know, 3 hours from home, and you know that's tough. You know, like if like my son's he's finally starting to kind of sit up now, and they sent me a video of it. So it's tough not being there for those little moments. Yeah. And but you know, at the same time, you're doing something that you know that you're providing for your family. But you know, it's like a give or take. When you're providing, you're also missing out on those potential moments. Like I missed my daughter's first steps, you know, because I was away, you know, and it hurt. But I mean, we still had that memory in the video. But just actually being there in that moment, you know how that feels, you know.
Got you. So do you feel like you have to come back and overcompensate sometimes?
Sometimes I do, because the biggest thing for me is being there too, and then like making sure my wife understands she's good. Like my wife is a rock star, and I say that is because she allows me to go do these things and go, you know, chase a dream. So when I come home, not only am I, you know, trying to, like you said, overcompensate for not being there for the weekend or however long I've been gone, it's like I'm trying to give her a break as well too. Hey, you go do this, I got them type thing. So it's just kind of like, you know, you try to make sure that you check all boxes when you come back home. Like I don't want to come back home and just throw my stuff down, be like, all right, man, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll see you tomorrow type stuff. You know, because I feel like, you know, that's not how it works, you know. So
yeah, no matter how tired you are, like, I gotta figure this out and work it out.
Yeah. It's always gotta be a parent.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Yeah. So what you was talking about, how your wife is a rock star, and she holds it down for you to do what you need to do. But what do you learn from her that helps make you a better father?
I just look at how easy she makes it look. Like, you know, and I see times where she gets frustrated and, you know, she's tired and fed up. But it's just on a normal day, like it's just boom, 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 boom. Everything is just easy for her, and it's not as easy for me. Prime example, last night. So last night, she's her and my daughter in the room were packing like Christmas ornaments for like to give away to her kid, her pre-K kids, whatever. So they're in the room, and my son, you know, I'm trying to put him to sleep, and I'm holding him, trying to put him to sleep. Every time I put him down, bro, eyes wide open, looking at me like, yo, what you doing? Like, so I'm just like, yo, after like 45 minutes, I'm like, yo, what am I doing? So after she finished, she comes in there, looks at me, kind of laughs. She grabs him. 3 minutes later, bro, knocked out, slobbering. I'm just like, yo, what am I doing wrong? And she's just like, yo, I just got that touch, I guess. So it's just kind of things like that. Just where she just makes everything looks easy. So, but I'm the type of person where I'm like, yo, if she can do it, I can do it. You know, But again, you know, we're not, you know, women are phenomenal, man. So I just kind of try to just emulate anything that she can do, you know. So, but I can't. Yeah, I do. I ain't gonna lie, I do. Yeah, I do. Cause I'll call her like, "How'd you do this?" She's like, "Well, you gotta figure it out on your own." I'm like, "Well, my way not working. So, what is your way?" You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So, what do you think is the biggest? Of course, it's you and your wife in the household, as opposed to the way you grew up, right? What do you think is the biggest difference outside of just now I'm in the house and I'm present?
I think the biggest difference in there, man, is just having that complete family feel. Like I said, my dad wasn't present. He was across town. Like, I mean, if I really needed him, I probably could go see him. But, you know, just having somebody there every day that I can share these experiences with, like, it's been a progression. When we got married, we didn't have kids, so it was just us. When we had our daughter, it was just kind of like, all right, we're together and we can tag team, we can figure this out. And it's kind of funny. I think I heard Giannis talk about it like probably a couple of weeks ago when he had his second child. It's just like now when that second child comes into play, it's like, all right, you go here, I go there. And it's like before we were together, now it's like, all right, you got to figure it out on your own. Like, so it was just kind of like one of those things there. But I just think being that family, having that family bond, that family togetherness is kind of the biggest thing I appreciate about it.
So what are some of the things that you all do as a family when it comes to parenting that is different from what you may have envisioned that it would be in the beginning?
I think the thing we try to have like family nights where we watch a movie or something like I've watched every Disney movie there's imaginable, you know what I mean? And truth be told, there's some good movies, you know what I mean? Like,
some of the best movies.
Yeah, absolutely. You sit there, you're like, dang, an hour, 30 minutes, you locked in, like, you know. So
I got a couple suggestions for you.
right. So I think this kind of, you know, having those family traditions together that, you know, like one rule that we have, like when we eat dinner together, everybody's together without no phones. Like we kind of try to minimize TV time, things like that, and things like this. So just, you know, little things like that. We just try to, you know, build those traditions and have those time together because, you know, time is moving, man. And, you know, when you come home, think about you come home from work, you're tired, they're tired, kids home tired from school. It's like that limited time together. So you just got to make the most of it while you can, you know. So.
What's the biggest challenge for you as a father?
The biggest challenge is not trying to be perfect. Like understanding that I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes as a parent. Like I'm gonna probably yell at my kid when I probably shouldn't yell instead of talking to them. You know, doing the little things like, you know, I think, you know, not paying attention. Like probably one of my biggest flaws as a person is because in the business I am, I'm always kind of on my phone, attached to my phone. Like so, there be times where I'm not paying attention to my kids where I probably should, and I'm on my phone. And then my wife gets on me about it. But you know, it's just kind of like that double-edged sword because you know you want to make sure that you're staying, you know, relevant in attention to your job. But I'm a father first, and sometimes I have to realize that, you know. So. Oh wow. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you have to do to make sure that you combat that?
Literally just put my phone face down, everything, all electronics face down, like just lock in and focus, just being more disciplined about things like that, you know, because it's so easy to get down that rabbit hole sometimes. You're on your phone, somebody's texting you about something, or you know, you get into something, you know, on social media, and just 10 minutes later, you know, you look over, your child probably, you know, use the bathroom on itself, you know, so it could be anything crazy, you know what I mean? Right. Especially with a newborn, like, you know, you got to be attentive and make sure that you're aware of them at all times, you know. So
you got to be present at all times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At least 95% of the time.
Yeah.
I do have a question because you say your relationship with your father is mending and it's a work in progress. Yeah. What is the relationship between your father and his grandchildren?
It's better. They know. I mean, well, my daughter knows who he is. I mean, he lives in my hometown in Wilson. So you know. I think the pandemic's kind of, you know, it's kind of changed everybody, you know, how you do things. You know, we've kind of been conscious of like, you know, not letting our kids go out as much in terms of like going to like, you know, different family functions and things like that. So he's just kind of trying to protect them. But he has a good relationship with my daughter. Like, you know, whenever, you know, he comes to see her, you know, like she act like she's never seen it, like, you know, like it's nothing has ever happened or anything, and she's just, you know, gonna run and jumps on, you know, has them come playing and things like that. So it's good, and I think that was one of our focus of mine. Like I wanted him to have a relationship with my daughter and my son because, you know, I have a half sister, and she's there in our hometown. So she has a son, so he has a really good relationship with him. So for me, it was kind of like, I want you to have a relationship with all your grandkids. You know? So, you know, that's something that's really important to me because I see my wife and my father-in-law or her dad, like my daughter absolutely loves him, man. Like she rides on the tractor with him and just everything. Like she calls him on FaceTime every single day. Like not, you know, and I want that relationship for my dad and my daughter as well too. So, but it's a work in progress though.
Gotcha. So do you ever feel any resentment because he's able to do that?
1,000%, absolutely. Like it's just being real, just being transparent as a man. Like you want those things, and I've had those conversations with my wife, and it's like it's tough because, you know, she grew up in a home with her mom and dad, so for her, understanding the dynamic of my family situation isn't as easy for her to understand. Like, you know, when my mom and dad are divorced, so, you know, they're always on the best terms and things of that nature. So, and my dad's remarried, so you know how that dynamic could be. And you know, so, you know, my wife sometimes, you know, I think she, you know, maybe think it's a little easier to mend than it should be, you know, but I do have resentment sometimes, but, you know, I had to understand that it's not about how I feel, it's about how my daughter and my son, like, you know, so I had to take myself out of it.
Have you ever had a conversation with him?
With my dad?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All the way deep?
I had to. Okay. Like I had to. You know, it's funny. I probably had that conversation probably 6 months to a year ago. just because for a long time I kind of held those things in because, you know, as a man, you know, they tell you, you know,
you're fine.
You good. Like, shake it off. Like, you're not supposed to, you know, you're not supposed to show emotion. That's weak. That's being weak. But for me, I had to get it off because I felt resentment in my heart, and I felt, you know, that hate sometimes where it's just like I shouldn't feel that way about him. You know what I mean? Because I want him to step up and be there. Yeah. So, you know, it was a deep conversation. You know, some tears were shed, things like that. But it like. Ever since that moment, everything's been better, and I feel much better as a person doing that, you know.
Right. Well, speaking of that, you say you have a half sister.
I do.
Was there any resentment towards that?
Initially, yes, because initially, it's crazy as it sounds. I'm probably saying too much, but you know, it's cool. It's cool. No, it's cool. It's cool. We weren't really raised on the half sister, half brother type thing. We didn't really know. Yeah,
I don't say stuff like that.
Yeah, we really don't know. So, you know, as we got older, we decided to make up more of a conscious effort because we are related. We do have the same blood. So we made a more conscious effort as we got older to kind of be there for each other. So now, like, you know, her and my wife, they talk all the time. Her son, he hoops. He's 11. I'm actually going to watch him play tomorrow. So, you know, like we have that relationship now where, you know, he calls on me, and, you know, I'm cool with her husband and things like that. So, like, I always wanted a little sister, you know what I mean? Cause, like, you know, I was always a little brother. So, you know, now having that little sister in the mix now, it's love. Like, I can, you know, she can call me for anything in the world. Like, you know, we have conversations about things in life, and just, you know, being that for her, I mean, I love it now. So.
Oh, wow. So, speaking on, you're talking about what you do for a living, that's dealing with a lot of kids. Now, when you're engaged with these kids, how do you figure out what you need to pour into each one of them that they may not be getting when you know, develop these relationships?
That's a good question. I think it's just kind of like kind of observing what the kid needs. Like sometimes you see kids act out, and that's because they need somebody in their life to kind of reel them back in. Some kids just need a swift kick in the butt, you know, sometimes, you know what I mean? Right. It's just kind of understanding I've been where you've been before, so I understand what you're going through. So, and, you know, being relatable is probably one of the biggest traits that I have, is because you know, a lot of times with traditional media, they see, you know, fat white guys and they can't.
It's true.
And it's true, and they can't relate to that. So when they see somebody that looks like them, that dresses like them, that talks crazy like them, like they can relate to that. So it allows them to open up more. So, you know, it's weird because, you know, like a lot of these guys, media guys, they're like, well, how are you so close to such and such, or you're so close to that kid? Right. It's because they see me when they look at them, you know, so when they see themselves, they look at me. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing I look for.
So could you speak more into the importance of just that representation? Like I've said it before on here, like I never really realized representation mattered that much until I had children. Yeah. Because like seeing the way my daughter, I remember the Olympics and this was Gabby Douglas or one of them them black gymnasts. And when they got on TV, my daughter just starts flipping around on the floor and like she wanted to be them. Right. Yeah. And at that moment, I was like, okay, now I get it. Yeah. So speak to that.
So I mean, it's just like when we grew up watching Sports Center. Like, who's the first person Stuart Scott. Absolutely, Stuart Scott. Instantly, yeah. Like, you know, so like I think for me, it's the same thing on like a level now where kids can see me. So it's crazy when I go in places now. Like, you know, people are like, yo, that's the dude from HoopState, and like they'll come have conversations with me and things like that. And to me, that's the coolest thing ever, that I feel like a kid could come to me and just be like, yo, I watch everything y'all do. It's dope. And it's crazy. It's not even black kids, it's black and white kids that do that. You know, and so I think for me that's cool for people to be able to see somebody that they know that looks like them, that you can, you know, if you want to go on that same path, because, you know, like everybody can't like go hoop or play football and just go to the league and things like that. So, but there are other avenues. Like I found out pretty early in life that I wasn't going to go to the NBA, but you know what I mean? You know, I'm 6'1", I was kind of chubby, but I could shoot, you know what I mean? Right. But they don't got too many of those guys in the league. So, you know what I mean? So for me, it was just kind of like, what's next? How can I find my niche? How can I find my lane? So, you know, if I can be an example for a kid, like, yo, I feel like that's the purpose for me. You know?
Now, speaking, because you was talking about how a lot of the kids that you know, single parent homes and all that, and then you start forming these relationships, do you ever feel like some of the parents put pressure on you to kind of be that father figure, that mentor to their children?
Absolutely. It is. It's funny because, you can't be everything to everybody. Like, it's tough trying to be, a father figure and a mentor for 25, 30 kids. And that sounds crazy to say, but I got my own life and my own kids I have to attend to. So it's tough. I've had parents kind of be like, well, you show this kid more attention than you show my kid, things like that. And it's like, man, dealing with like parents in a sport, like, it's crazy, man. Like you can never do enough. You can bend over and give them your tail to kiss, but that wasn't enough for them. You know what I mean? So it's just you got to find a balance. And some kids, you can help to a certain extent, but at some point, you kind of got to let them. All right, well, I've tried to help you as much as I can, but you're not trying to help yourself. I got to let you go figure it out on your own at this point. And I mean, that's life. You got to figure it out sometimes. The same thing we had to do.
So we talk about you in basketball a lot right now, right? And we talked about you're the founder of HoopState, but we never even got into what that is.
Okay.
So what is it? How did it come about?
So the HoopState Network is like we're a sports media company. I mean, if you've seen like Ball is Life, Overtime, Hoop Mixtape, different. We're kind of in that mode. So how I got my start was back in 2017. Well, let me back up a little bit. It actually kind of started like on Twitter, obviously. Actually, where I was on Twitter, just sharing my thoughts and just saying whatever I want to say. What I noticed over time was started building a following and people kind of like hanging on to the words I was saying. Because when I talk about like basketball, I'm speaking in like, with facts. I'm not speaking as a fan.
Unless it's about LeBron James.
Great guy, but I'm just not a fan. So what happened? From growing from there, around 2017, I get a call. He's actually one of the co-founders of HoopState. This guy named Webb Wellman, and he's working with Ball is Life. He's pretty high up there in Ball is Life, and he said, "Hey, Ball is Life is allowing me to start a podcast here, and I want you to be the co-host with me." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." You know what I mean? Right. So from that point there, we did the podcast for over about 2 years at that point. Had a lot of different interviews. I got to interview like Kobe White, Mac McClung, Sharif O'Neal, a few NBA guys as well too. So amassed close to 1 million views over the course of 2 years. 2019, I get a call and he's like, "Hey, I'm leaving Ball is Life," and I'm just like, "What does that mean for me?" Mm-hmm. So he's just like, "Well, we'll sit down and talk. I think I got something that you'd be interested in." So we had a meeting. It was myself, Webb, and like 3 other guys: Ray Masonette, Donnie Boy, Miles Mastercola, Anthony Simmons. All of us, 6 of us, and we just formed the HoopState Network. And we were like, we're just going. North Carolina, there was a void in North Carolina at that time for high school sports, and it came like it was like a perfect storm for us. So, fast forward 3 years. Well, now I mean we are where we are now. So it's definitely been a blessing. We're in different states now. We've done tournaments in Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Florida, as well as North Carolina. So we say we're the Hoop State. We're based out of North Carolina, but our motto is any state can be a Hoop State. So
That's dope.
So one of the questions we always ask is, what advice would you give to a new father? But we want to do this a little different for you.
Okay.
Okay. Because you see so many sports parents.
Right.
Right? So many. What would you say to a parent who's two people? One, whose child is a phenom, and all of this attention is coming, and I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And the other is the parent that you see, you can tell your child really doesn't want to do it. What do you tell them to do?
So for the phenom parent, I tell them, like, you gotta protect your child at all costs, because I've seen so many situations where kids get to the point where there's people just coming out of left field saying, "Hey, I can help you get to this point and do that," but they're all about figuring out what's the next step for them. They're trying to get a benefit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And you see so many kids get exploited, man. And we've had conversations with kids over the last month or so about the same thing. Just like their stars are rising, they're starting to get more publicity, notoriety, and they got people coming out the woodworks, and it's just like they don't know how to handle it. So it's just about, just having some people in your corner that you trust. Like one thing I always tell parents when they talk to me, like, Dennis Smith Jr., Bam Adebayo, like all these kids, Brandon Ingram that played, they're in the NBA now, have great relationships with these guys. You can ask any of them guys. I've never asked them for a thing. Not tickets, jersey, anything. I don't ask them for anything. But I know if I ever needed something from them, I could call them and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Can you, what can you do? And they'll help. Brandon's sponsoring a tournament with us this weekend. This year in January. So, just having those relationships is important. So I just kind of, try to let people know, protect your kids at all costs. Yeah. Now, the parent who, wants it more for their kid, it's just kind of like, start living through your kid. Because maybe your dream didn't go the way you want it, but you're living through your kid and you're putting it on your kid. But what you're doing is you're taking the love for the game out of that from that kid. And you see kids, they resent, and then all of a sudden you see, right after high school, they're done playing basketball because they don't have that love or that desire to play anymore. So
I like the slight name flexes and name drops. You're like, I pick them up for you.
No. I'm just, yeah, I know. But no, I just, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm blessed, man. It's cool to be able to have a relationship with those kids.
To get to that point, though.
It did, man. It's definitely a blessing. I can't lie.
So we'll get you out of here on this.
Okay.
So when your jump shot days are over, it's it for you.
Yeah.
They lay you down to rest.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy as a father to be?
That's a good question. I want my kids to know that like their dad did everything and anything that he could do to make sure that they had a better life than I had. I wanted to understand that, if I can leave with them, just live your life with purpose, and just when you find that purpose, you live in that purpose, And I think when you do that, then you're adding value, like a substantial value to your life, because you're not just existing. Now, we see a lot of times, especially with this pandemic, we see a lot of people, they live instead of exist instead of live. Take those trips and do whatever things that you want to do, live your life, because as we've seen, man, these next 30 seconds aren't promised, in life. So I just want to leave with my kids just to, do whatever you want to do in life, do it to the best of your ability and love what you do.
Oh man, look, well, with that said, man, everything that you said today is gonna help somebody, and your story was great, and I appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time to sit with us.
I appreciate y'all, man. Like I said, I watched a couple episodes. This is dope. It's crazy because I knew this.
Watch more than a couple.
I know. I knew this.
Go subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, I will. I knew this question was coming too, and I wasn't prepared. And I knew this question was coming, and I wasn't even prepared, man. So, you kind of hit me with it, but it's cool, man. I love what y'all do. Y'all continue to do great things, man. I love seeing
people don't realize when these lights cut on, it's a little different.
Yeah, I should be used to it, though. Yeah, I should be used. But no, I just love seeing us doing great things, man. I respect the hell out of y'all for that, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching another episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you liked what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.